Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Weapon Hex of Infinity Warps, issue number 1 of likely 2. Okay, let's get started on this by discussing who actually created this comic book. All right, so writers Ben Acker and Ben Blacker. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second. Like, really? You found two people named Ben, one named Acker, the other named Blacker. Really? Really? What the hell? Do they both have brothers? Ben Ackest and Ben Blackest? I mean, like, what the hell? Anyway, I was like, that's just cool. What a great happy coincidence that is. Okay, so penciler Gerardo Sandoval, and he also does the inks, but Victor Nava seems to have done most of the inks because he was credited first on this. And color artist Israel Silva. So, VC's Joe Caramunga on letters. Cover art, Humberto Ramos and Edgar Delgado, and variant cover art by Humberto Ramos, another by Andy Kubert and Maury Hollowell. So, look, I'm going to try not to poke at this comic book too much because I already made fun of Ben Acker and Ben Blacker's names, and I don't want them to think that I'm some kind of a jerk because I don't remember ever reviewing any of their comic books before. I may have, but I don't recall actually doing that. I feel like a politician as some lousy, creepy senator, secretary of, what is it, the Secretary of Law? Psh, whatever. Just the idea, I do not recall actually doing such and such and talking with the Russians. No, that's not what I want. So, we are on Mount Wundagore, and there's a lot of thunder. The first word that's spoken on here, but in narration box, is thunder. And I'm very upset that I see thunder and thunder and thunder, and not a single time does anybody say Thundercats ho. So right away, this comic book is dropping a letter grade immediately. But if we're being serious, I like that there's a version of Rintara in here. If you remember him from the Doctor Strange comic books back when it was Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme. I like that. I can see some of the characters. I recall some of these particular characters in here, like the Quentin Quire character, and obviously and I don't know who he's warped with, and then Nightcrawler warped with somebody else, and I just don't actually care that much. But these guys are hanging out, and it's really nice art, and this big Mephisto and Chthon character that's trying to eat these people. All the people around there just don't seem to care. They're just kind of like, oh, yeah, we see this thing all the time. It's kind of boring, actually. It's apparently our god, but whatevs. So it just seems weird. And the faces that are made, and like a beast comes out and kills somebody, like rips her in half. And then the Quentin Quire is looking down like, damn, I really thought this would be the end, or that this would be the one. And then the other character, the woman there with the weird haircut, have the hybrids bring the remains to my lab. But the look on her face is so, like Valley Girl. Like, what the hell am I looking at here? Were they meant to look this way? So basically, this is a very probability manipulating Laura Kinney type character, and she kills her mother figure in this at one point, and then there's a Honey Badger character. If you were interested in this comic book, awesome, dude. For my tastes, even though I literally went in this thinking this comic book is not going to be great, you might say it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Others would say, oh, really? Usually when you go with low expectations, Professor, the comic book winds up pleasing you. It's like a thing, a ritual that I do intentfully. You know, if I don't think I'm going to like this comic book, I go in with very low expectations thinking this comic book is probably not going to impress me at all. And I'm hoping that any little thing does. So I can say, I was actually pretty impressed that the water actually flowed with the flow of gravity. It went down. It was like just little things like that. And here, I couldn't even find water on the tap that went in the direction that I would have expected it to. It just, like, it just, honestly, this comic book was like, okay, I'm going to make an example, and I hope that nobody gets ticked off about this, but for me, this comic book, I'm going to liken it to somebody asking me, hey man, Which, does the water in the toilet bowl flow the opposite direction when you flush it if you're in Australia? Which somebody asked me that one time, and the person was from South America. I really want you to think about what I just said, the locations I just said, and specifically their location to the equator. Yeah, this person was not brilliant. I tried very hard not to laugh, but like that's the look on his face when I told him, no, the water does not flow in the opposite direction just because you're south of the equator. The look on his face of pure, really? Oh, that kind of sucks. That's the look that I've got on my face when I read this comic book. Sorry, I know it's disrespectful. At the same time, you also have to remember two very important factors here. C.B. Cebulski already explained that not a single one of these Infinity Warps tie-ins are crucial. None of them are crucial. So they're just going to add a little bit extra to the story. These are the spices, okay, to the main course. That's what this is. These are just the spices. It's just, every so often you come across a spice that you don't really like too well. And unfortunately, this isn't, it's not really that great. But like I said, they're not important. And for the most part, they were meant to really just be throwaways. Believe me, if something came along where it's like, okay, I know that these comic books were intended to be throwaways, but the writer and or artist really didn't think that when they were creating this comic book. Somebody was trying to make a name for themselves with this comic book. Well, in this particular case, no, that was not the case. That just was not. This was, like, you want to ask for a grade. What's your grade, Professor Bill? It's I. Well, does that mean it starts with an A? No. No, it does not. It is what it is, man. It's basically just there. It's there to be there. So it says to be continued, and out loud, like verbally, I responded to reading that. I said, why? Just, sorry. Again, not intending to offend anyone. Some people put some work into this comic book. They didn't have a whole lot to work with. It's like, okay, let's just take two people and we'll squish them together, and then we'll take a whole bunch of other minor characters and squish them together and go ahead and make a comic book for this that won't go anywhere. You'll have 2 issues of nothing. And the guy was just like, yeah, okay, I can do that. Sure, here we go. So that's exactly what this comic book is, and that's all that it ever could have been in the first place. I don't see any of this continuing. None of them. Even the stories I haven't read yet. The Arachnite. That looks like it should be pretty cool, right? Because it looks awesome. But nope, I don't expect that to go anywhere either. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, guys, I'm done. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.